Welcome to another episode of Screw the Clout. My name is Steve Stanulis. I want to thank everybody out there for making us a top 10 podcast right now on Apple Podcast. But it's not because of my voice or who I am. It's because I have amazing guests like our next guest. Today's guest is a social media personality, a commentator. It's Suzanne Lambert, who has built a massive following. She's a podcaster, and I know she's doing tremendous things. And I'm so excited to speak to her today. And I have a lot of things in store for you today, Suzanne. So, first of all, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I've listened to the pod. It's so interesting to me. I love the kind of conversations you have on here. So I'm happy it's me today.
And I'm happy it is you. So, before we even get started, again, there's so much I want to get into with you. What we'll just jump into first is you became a political influencer, right? How did that even begin, right? So how did you say, all right, this is going to be my niche? How did that even begin? Because you came from a right-wing family. So, and now you're on obviously on the other side. How did you get into that?
Yeah, so I can answer the first part of your question. So I had a normal job in finance. I had,
Mhm.
zero political connections. I actually knew more Republicans working on the Hill than Democrats working on the Hill when I got into this, just given
Mhm.
the nature of growing up in Georgia. But I've done stand-up comedy for years. So it was one of those things where, when I would be done with work, I would make videos or I would go do stand-up in the clubs around DC, which is where I live.
Mhm.
And it was around the 2024 election, really, is when I started consistently posting online. The messaging that I was seeing just wasn't resonating. And, talking about politics, especially as a comedian who's a little rough around the edges and not super politically correct, can
Mhm.
be kind of scary. But I was like, well, we already lost. So like you can't really get mad at me. So I started posting more videos just about how I think our attitude needs to be adapted. I coined the term Regina George liberal. I started the Republican makeup trend, which became, an international phenomenon, which is blows my
Yes.
mind. Um,
Mhm.
and because I saw a need for like making politics funny. Let's be able to
Right.
laugh about some of the things that are happening, right? I see comedy as a way to unite people. So I started
Mhm.
doing that. And within 3 months, really, it grew so quickly that I was able to quit my job and embark on it full time. And I've been full time at this for a year now.
That's amazing. And again, I give you kudos because there is millions of people trying to do the same thing you're doing. Maybe not in your genre or your lane, but trying to get there so they can quit their jobs and just focus on this, right? So, was politics, and again, this is not a political. We're not getting. This is not going to be a whole political thing,
Yeah,
but
no, it's
I
all
was
good.
just curious because again, when I interview police officers or anything on my other
Yeah.
podcast, is it politics always something that you were interested in growing up, or
Yeah.
if you just kept an ear to it, or how did that happen?
I was super interested in it. I would say like in high school is where it sparked my curiosity. And I don't know what it is about politics specifically. I think honestly, I like the back and forth. I like a
Hmm.
discussion. I like a debate. What frustrates me a lot about the climate we have now is that people shut down discussions and they shut down debates. And it was
Hmm.
always that just the back and forth that I really enjoyed. But I grew up in a town, Kennesaw, Georgia. It's the law to own a gun. In my hometown. It's the law in Kennesaw is our slogan. It's a very conservative place, right? And
Hmm.
I was president of the Young Republicans Club in high school. I couldn't even vote, but we were having meetings to talk about things we didn't really understand, right?
That's awesome. Hmm.
Yeah, and I was in college Republicans in college. I campaigned for Mitt Romney. Um, and it was actually really when I started consistently doing stand up when I
Hmm.
was introduced to different perspectives that I was like, huh, those three comics just talked about their experiences with, racism or class struggles or whatever it is, and they all kind of sounded pretty similar. So maybe I should kind of hear them out on their own experiences, right? And then
Hmm.
from there, it was a pretty quick unraveling, I would say.
And you mentioned stand-up comedy as well. Is that something you always want to pursue? Because again, that in itself is probably uh, one of the toughest things to kind of crack through on. So when did you decide or you wanted to get even into that field and even try that as well, Suzanne?
Yeah, it's funny because I grew up a comedy lover. Like I grew up listening to Mitch Hedberg is still one of my favorite comedians, Nick Swartz, and both Minnesota guys. I have a weird like
Yes.
passion for Minnesota.
Hmm.
Wanda Sykes. I grew up watching the old SNLs with Will Ferrell. Molly Shannon is a
Hmm.
hero of mine. But, so I grew up watching these things and I would keep little notes on my phone of like, this would be a funny joke
Hmm.
without really thinking of, oh, wait, I could actually do that too. And it was a show that I
Hmm.
saw at the DC Improv. I don't know why I remember. It was Orny Adams. Don't know what he's up to these days. But
Hmm.
I turned to my boyfriend at the time and I was like, I think I want to do stand up. And I know the DC Improv does classes. I kind of want to try it out. And he told me, he said, if you do stand up and you talk about your old boyfriends on stage, I'm going to break up with you. Um,
Really?
yeah, he didn't want to hear about my exes, which like how insecure do you have to be, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
So we ended up breaking up and that summer, the first thing I did when we broke up was sign
Was talk about him.
I emailed the DC Improv and I was like, hey, if anyone backs out of that class, please let me know. I really want to do this. Got in the class, and I headlined the DC Improv a month ago and sold it out. So it's kind of crazy to see all of it come full circle.
Well, what's funny too, and again, we talked offline that, I kind of go all different ways. I am actually in a TV show called Grey Kills. We're in season two, and it's about a camera crew that follows around a hitman. So it's a dark comedy.
That's
It's a
cool.
mockumentary.
Yeah, that's
Um,
cool.
the reason why I'm talking about this is the whole show is structured improv. So we get like a scene, obviously. Even when we get the script, it's just layouts of what the scene is. And it makes it easy because the director is actually in the shot. So if he sees us kind of going off a little bit, right?
Yeah,
He could just say something and kind of brings us back on track.
that's so
But
fun.
as somebody who's obviously right, and as somebody who's directed and acted all these different things, when you do improv really well, to me, it's the best form of acting because you don't know what I'm going to say. So, like, you see how you are right now? You're waiting for me to finish because you don't know what is coming next. Instead of having a script and anticipating, okay, he's going to say this, let me now feed him back the line, and it goes back and forth. It's just very natural. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, and I don't really do it's called I like the DC Improv. I do stand up at the Improv. I've done improv before. I think it's such an
Hmm.
invaluable skill to have, but I think even that spirit of willing to not have a script and take risks like in corporate America was I
Hmm.
think one of my most valuable skills and one of the most valuable skills you can have, and that's underpinned by you can't be afraid to fail, or you can be afraid to fail, but you have to be willing to do it anyway. And I feel like that's such
Hmm.
like a hokey line that people say over and over, but it's so true because some
It
people
really is.
are just too afraid. I've bombed so many times, and guess what? I'm gonna keep bombing. Like I'm gonna have more shows when I bomb. I'm gonna have videos that flop. I'm gonna do shit that doesn't perform well, but I have a sense of self that can't be shaken from those extrinsic factors like applause or likes or comments. And I think that that's what sets me apart, and that's what sets people apart in this business who succeed versus people who don't or who are too afraid to try.
And again, I agree. And you could kind of put your experience as a stand-up comedian into being an influencer because I think a lot of people that try or want to be a quote unquote influencer are afraid to do something because they're afraid to get negative feedback and they're more afraid of that than
Uh,
potentially having something that blows up, right? So the
right.
fact that you have that, you know what, screw it. Again, no pun intended with the podcast, screw it. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put myself out there, and whatever happens, happens. I think almost kind of goes hand in hand with your stand-up comedy.
It absolutely does. And I listened to your episode about fuck it energy. And that's like, I talk about that with my community in different words. But like,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, in stand up, when you're on stage, you get immediate feedback that you're bombing. And not only that, everyone in the room can see it happen, right? If there's no laughs or if people are zoned out or God forbid boos, which doesn't honestly happen that much, but like I
Right.
don't know if I've ever been booed. I would rather be booed than people look at me in silence, to be honest. And the same thing happens with online, right? Like if you're only doing it for the clicks and the likes and stuff, other people can see if your metrics or your engagement isn't great, but you have to believe in what you're saying so much that you don't give a fuck. Like I've done videos that I did because I enjoy them and I like them and they don't perform and I genuinely don't care, right? Because I did it for me and I did it because I like what I'm saying and I believe in what I'm saying. Sorry. Oh, give me 1 second.
That's
Sorry.
okay. No, no problem. No sweat.
Some weird alarm just went off. Okay, we're good.
No problem. No sweat. No, so again, that's basically the way you have to really go about it, Suzanne. So when did you realize that your content was actually blowing up? And what was that video that was like, wow, this is crazy. What was that?
Yeah, so it was a video I did. It was November 2024. It was a week after the election, on my birthday,
Mhm.
actually. I'm a Scorpio. So I was in Kennebunkport just because I love Maine. And I
Okay.
was scrolling, we had lost the election. I voted for Kamala, obviously. And I'm just seeing a lot of bullshit, from people on the left, like, we're gonna get through this with love and kindness, and we have to be, and I'm like, no, no, this isn't working for me. This isn't resonating with me. I also don't think this is how we're gonna win elections if we want to win elections. So I made a video basically being like, look, I'm a retired mean girl. I'm a SEC sorority girl. I have three brothers. I grew up Catholic. Like, I think we actually need to be, Regina George liberals and like busting people's balls a little bit more, honestly, and fighting back. And I was a little nervous. And at that point, I think I had maybe like 50,000 followers on TikTok, like
Mhm.
2,000 on Instagram. I wasn't even posting on Instagram because I was trying to kind of keep those worlds separate because
Right.
Instagram is like, it's like your coworkers and people you went to high school with and things like that. So I wasn't fully being authentic in that way. And we can talk about that. Um, and that video just blew up. And I honestly knew that it would, especially with branding like Regina George Liberal. I mean, it's marketing, right? People
Mhm.
are all over that shit. And then my Republican makeup video blew up
Mhm.
after that, which is interesting because I made the Republican makeup video before that. And that video was me just like, hey, all these, and like I have friends who are Republicans, right? It's all just jokes. But I was like, I
Mhm.
just noticed all these Republicans do their makeup the exact same way. So I did my makeup like Republican makeup, and then that took off. So those two were kind of at the same time. And I went from
Mhm.
like 50,000 followers to 500,000 in like two
Wow.
months. Yeah, it was
Well,
wild. It was a crazy uptick, one that I always kind of knew was going to happen in my heart, but
mhm.
it's still crazy when it happens and your life changes kind of overnight.
That's pretty wild. No, yeah, absolutely. And it only takes for people listening out there. It only takes that one. It really does. It really, really does. Funny thing is, you just never know what that one could be, and it could be
And
something that you least expect, right?
And I think it's so important and Molly Shannon talks about this in her book. It's so important to act on the creativity and the idea in the moment. Don't go fix your hair. Don't like do it when you feel like you're ready because I was getting ready to leave for the day and I was in a hotel room and I told the gentleman I was with, "Hey, just wait in the lobby for like 15 minutes. I just like need to record this." And
Hmm.
thank God I did, right? If I hadn't, I
Crazy.
mean, genuinely, my life could look totally different now. And I think it's really important to act in the moment, but also if it doesn't blow up, don't be discouraged because you still acted upon your conviction and your creativity, and that should be enough. Like if it hadn't blown up, I also would have been okay, because I said what I needed to say.
And it's funny because screw the clout. You just basically, if you had to say, well, screw the clout, it's basically what was the moment where you got to that crossroad and you could have went left or right, and said, "Screw it, I'm going right," and everything changed. So that was technically your screw it moment without me even asking you, right?
And in the same spirit, if you don't mind me, I think
No,
I might
please.
have interrupted you saying a question. I because of my nature of how I talk about things, right? I do
Hmm.
ruffle some feathers of people on the left, particularly
Hmm.
people who are super
On the
fragile.
uh,
Because people love to find reasons to be offended. Like they genuinely do. And people love to find a reason to try to cancel you or for whatever the fuck. And I have had moments where people have demanded apologies from me for stupid shit. Stupid shit. And if my if my priority in life was preserving the cloud and preserving the followers and always, catering and capitulating to people, I would have betrayed my sense of self along the way. But instead, I've stood firm and be like, no, you guys are being fucking ridiculous. The things you're getting mad at are made up problems, and I don't apologize. And if you're actually offended by this, I hope you unfollow me because I genuinely don't want you around. And that's something that a lot of people in this space aren't willing to do. And that's why they find themselves getting canceled or having these mass, like, people jumping on them because their entire career they've just catered and capitulated to an audience instead of
mhm.
actually being true to themselves and what's in their heart. And I can say I've never done that.
And that's awesome because I'm going to ask you a two-part question
Yeah.
now. Um, how do you feel? Well, first of all, being a comedian, which is such a unique thing, which I love. I really love that. How do you feel about? And again, it's gotten better. Whatever side you're on. I never really get into all that stuff, so I'm
Yeah,
on a
that's
side, but
fine.
it's whatever. But the
Yeah.
point is, being a comedian, because it's hard enough. So when there was that point in time, that gap, where everybody's worried about the woke, whatever they say. I don't want to offend anybody. Whatever. Did you think, as a comedian, that it made things either tougher? Did you feel like a lot of comedians kowtowed to that? And once you answer that question, my second part is, how do you feel about people that, if they don't agree with whatever side you're on, immediately, and I think you answered it already, but immediately just block somebody because they don't agree or they're mad that somebody's on a different side of things? So let's do the comedian woke stuff, and then let's go to
Yeah.
people blocking people because they're just not on the same side.
Those are great. Those are both great questions. Yeah, I think on both sides, I've heard from comedians who are afraid to talk about politics. I think more so people on the left are afraid to talk about it because, they're afraid of not saying things the exact perfect way that someone with four master's degrees decided you have to say, or you're this terrible person, right? So, and I totally respect that some people just don't want to talk about that or it's not a part of their comedy. My comedy isn't super political. Like when I'm doing stand up, it was actually one of my rules when I started that I wouldn't talk about comedy. I wouldn't even cuss on stage. It was weird. I don't know. I was having like
Mhm.
an identity crisis, right? The normal person does not spend their day talking about politics. That's a very online thing. So I would say I've seen it from both sides. I think on the left, the fear is of not saying the exact right thing and getting canceled. I think on the right, the fear is they're afraid of getting canceled for being on the right, right? So I do think that some comedians are afraid. I think the best comedians are not. I think that in order to be a compelling entertainer, you do have to have an aspect of fearlessness. Otherwise, I mean, if you're not taking risks as an entertainer, then what are you doing? What are you doing it for,
Right.
right?
But Suzette, I'm not even going politics per se. I'm going about you being a comedian and you're afraid to talk about um, homosexuality. You're afraid to talk about race. You're afraid to talk about midgets. You're afraid to talk about, that part. I'm talking about
Okay.
woke as far as,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Not
I would,
even forget.
yeah. I would
No,
say
I'm
that
sorry. Yeah.
I say politics because I see those things as kind of
Right.
connected.
Hmm.
Um, I it's funny because I do see a sense of fear around people approach like people think you can't say black people. Like people are afraid to say black. I'm like, you can say black people. It's not a bad word, right? Like
Right.
people are very afraid to like even mention those things. I'm like, no, you can joke about pretty much anything. Anthony Jeselnik has a quote. I think he's quoting someone else, but he says, "Funny is getting away with it." You can get away with saying a lot of shit. The problem is a lot of
Mhm.
people just lean into being offensive instead of being funny. You do still have to be funny. You can't just get a mic and go on a stage and just like spout off offensive bullshit. And then when people don't
Right.
laugh, blame it on the crowd. It's like, no, dude, you didn't have a proper setup and punchline. That's what the issue
Right.
was. So yeah,
Right.
I do think people are afraid to talk about things. I wish they wouldn't be, because I think comedy is a good way to like navigate those things in life, like race, like homosexuality. I think that we all
Just anything,
laugh.
anything. Right.
Yeah,
'Cause I'm just,
dude. Yeah. And then the
and I
second,
think it's gotten better. I think we're in a better space right now than it was like 2 or 3 years ago, where, but, again, it's hard enough to be funny, right? And come up with a routine that people are going to enjoy. And then you got to worry, you got to tiptoe around certain things like ethnicity and like whatever your
it's like
shtick
you
is.
do and you don't, though. I think sometimes people are crybabies. Like I loved Chappelle's newest special. I mean, it was hysterical. He made some jokes in there that I wouldn't have made, right? But I do hate, especially when it's like the old guard comics get on stage and he's like, they canceled me and I lost everything. I'm like, dude, you have a special on HBO
Right.
right now. You're a
Right.
millionaire. People got mad at you online. That doesn't, you're not canceled. You're literally here, dude. Get over it. People got mad at
Right.
the shit you had to say. And can you
Right.
remind me of the second part of your question? Sorry.
The second part is again, say again, you and I are now connected, right? So on social media, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll
right.
have to
So now you
block
and
it.
I are on, we're Instagram BFFs, right? So
Yes,
if I,
exactly.
how would you feel either way? It could be either way. That I post something, and again, that's people listening. I'm not, I don't portray who I've ever said who was what side I'm on, but I post something about Trump, pro Trump, or vice versa. You post something pro Gavin Newsom or whatever, and I see it, and without anything, I block you. What is your take, and how ridiculous do you think that is? Um, that
Yeah.
you can kill a friendship or a relationship just based on what somebody posts because you don't agree with it.
Yeah, I don't do that. I think what you choose to follow is totally your business. I think if you're seeing a lot of content coming across your feed that's like immediately pissing you off and putting you in a bad mood, then the better move would be to block or mute or
Right.
whatever. I just personally I like to see what other people believe and talk about. I follow Fox News, not because I agree with 90% of the shit they have to say, but because I want to know what people are talking about and what they think. I think that there's a common thread that a lot of us can find with each other, regardless of, where we stand on things. And I have a super diverse friend group in terms of any way you can be diverse, including beliefs, right? I think it's important, and I think I can find common ground with people at pretty much anyone, right? Unless you're like a total piece of shit, but that has little to do with your politics and more about
Yeah.
how you move through the world. So like I don't do that and I think it's weird. Like people will message me, getting like they'll go through who I follow and then message me and get mad at me for like why do you
Well,
follow
that's
Fox
that's
News?
great.
Why do you follow the president? And I'm like, you need to get a job. I need you to go get a job and get a life because like that's just like a wild thing to do. My dad voted for Trump. What do you want me to do? Never talk to him again? No, like that's ridiculous. So that's not for me, but genuinely like if it's impacting someone's energy in a negative way, I would rather you unfollow me than like spout off weird shit in my DMs?
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's a fair start. I was being like, I've seen people post literally maybe one thing about something and then lose X amount of people because people, you know what I mean? And I just think it's silly. But
I like when
getting
they
back,
announce it. They're like, this happened to me this week, and it's like from people with shared beliefs. Like, I really liked you until this post, and I'm unfollowing. I'm like, oh no, how will I pay my mortgage? Like, oh no, will
it's
the
just,
world keep spinning? Like, okay, you're weird. I would never I would never want to narrow who I follow or who I engage with to only people who think exactly like me. That sounds like a prison to me.
Yeah,
If you're just in an
exactly.
echo chamber, how boring is that? Like I
Right.
don't get that at all.
Agreed. I agree on every level. And the last thing I'll say, and I want to get back into some of the influencer stuff because I know there's a lot of influencers that listen and are, trying to
Yeah.
get ahead and grow. Um, so with that being said, like I said, not to turn it on me, I just try to use myself as an example on things. So I grew up as a police officer, right? I was a police officer. I have from a family of police officers. Um, I've been in a lot of different things in my life. I'm also in the entertainment business in Hollywood, with a lot of ways. So I have a tightrope of people I deal with, right? I
Yeah.
have people that are totally on the right. I have people that are, totally on the left.
Yeah.
And again, I just was always been a believer of whatever you do you. With politics, with religion, with anything in life, with politics, religion, whatever. I'm never going to debate you on religion because there's nothing I'm ever going to say where Suzanne is going to say, you know what, you're right, or
A
politics,
hundred
or
percent. Yeah.
so I'd never go down that road. And again, the reason why I'm even saying that it's segueing into my next question. And it's for you specifically because a lot of people want to get to where you are as an influencer. Do you think influencers, and I think I know the answer to this, but is it smart to lean into controversy when you're hosting, or whatever stories you're doing or whatever TikToks you're doing? Is it smart as an influencer to lean into something that's like current news?
Huh. Well, that's a great question. It's
I'm
like
full of them. I'm full of them.
and I like it. That's one of the reasons why I agreed to come on this podcast. I like your curiosity. It comes through in the questioning.
Thank you.
Um, I would say, yeah, honestly. I mean, arguably, I built my following off of being controversial, right?
Right.
I wasn't inherently controversial, but I was just saying the shit other people weren't saying, and I'm not afraid of controversy. I I would say that it is difficult to shake that being an aspect of your brand. So don't expect to build a following when you're like, I would say the algorithm rewards controversy. It loves fights, it loves feuds, it loves disputes, especially TikTok. It's just the facts. But don't expect to build a following that way and then try to kind of shift later on. I think what you need to always have a through line of what you want to be known for. So when I started, really online, I don't believe in like the pillars and making things so mechanical in that way in terms of content, but I was always a little bit of a bitch and I've owned that my entire career. I'm like, yeah, I'm a bitch. So you can't get mad at me and try to cancel me
You're
for
not, you're
saying
not, I'm
I
going to
was a
jump in,
bitch.
Suzanne. I'm
Yeah.
jumping in. There's nothing so far in our conversation, online or offline, that I ever in my mind said, wow, this chick's going to be a bitch. I'm just
I
saying.
appreciate that because
I'm saying.
it's when I lean into that title because, especially as a woman, as a pretty woman, let's be honest, if I was ugly, I would get away with a lot more of the shit that I say. It's just true. It's just true. People don't want to see pretty girls with strong opinions who are funny. You're immediately a bitch. So I lean into it. Instead of trying to say I'm not, I'm like, okay, I am. Now what? But what I would say, going back to what I was saying, and I appreciate that, because I don't think I'm a bitch at all, but other people seem to think I am. I've always made it a through line of I talked about politics. But I also talked about confidence and self-empowerment and trying to make other people feel confident. I talk a lot about makeup and beauty. So I wouldn't tell what I would tell people is, yeah, I do think the algorithm rewards it, but people are going to expect you to continue to engage in that kind of dialogue and don't think that just because they like you, they will automatically like whatever you put out. So just be aware of that because and then it's fine with me, right? But I've shit on so many people in Congress and I'll have people now comment like, please make a video about XYZ because they're used to me kind of dogging on these politicians, which I just don't do as much anymore.
Mm,
But I'm okay with that. But just know that that's always going to be there if you do choose to go that route. If
mm.
if the controversy feels like something you actually want to weigh in on, do it. Don't do it just for the clicks and the views. Like it's just kind of lame in my opinion.
Well, do you think then, again, because you just leads to another question I wanted to ask, for people that are trying to get to where you are, right? Do you think, and because I've been guilty of this myself, and then I just said, fuck it, I don't want to, I'm just me. You know what I mean? Do you think most influencers make the mistake of not just staying in one potential lane or one genre, and they try to do too many different things? So people confuse on actually who and what they are. Do you think
I
once you develop yourself, that has to be you?
I actually think the total opposite. So my stand-up teacher, Chris Kosha, he's still,
Mhm.
we'll talk time to time with writing. The advice he gave me when I started doing stand-up, which has like changed my life, and I tell everyone it, is tell them what you can't wait to tell them. And that means whatever that means for that day. I think the opposite. I think so many influencers are so in their head about well, I don't usually talk about workout content, so how am I going to work that in? Just post the damn video. You're not Pepsi. You don't need a rollout strategy for everything you want to talk about. Talk about the shit you want to talk about. Like people are so in their heads about what their
Mm.
brand is and their content pillars, and then I'll see this advice like, "Oh, go search creator insights on TikTok to see where there's content gaps." If you are constantly capitulating to an algorithm or what you think your audience wants to hear, you're gonna become a cut and dry influencer just like everyone else because it's obvious that you're just trying to keep up and chase instead of lead a lane. And that is the major distinguishing factor. And if that means me not doing that, means my views suffer for a little bit, or, I don't build a following as quickly, that's fine by me because I talk about the shit I want to talk about. And I tell everyone that. And I get so literally yesterday, it was funny. My friend on her close friend story, I'm not going to say who, she's talking about how she does a lot. She's a mom, right? She's a mom. So she does a lot of like mom content. And then she also is in the political world like I am. And she's like, I
Mm.
just feel weird talking about some of the shit I want to talk about when I know that Senator Cory Booker follows me and sees my shit. And I'm like, first of all, Booker wouldn't care. He's a nice guy. Second of all, it doesn't matter. Talk about the shit you want to talk about. Like the world needs people who are inspired and are like aligned with what they want to talk about. We don't need more people. Oh, okay, everyone else is talking about Wuthering Heights, so let me be the billionth person to make a video about it. Will that help you
Right.
build a following? Sure. Will that help you build a legacy and a reputation and a community? No, those things are different.
Agreed. So I am my first day, right? I say today, you know what? I want to start a TikTok account, right? I don't have a follower. I've never posted. I've never done anything, right? Do you think it's something that kind of the stock has kind of already ran, and it's almost, I don't want to say nothing's impossible, right? Because you can still do something on you, whatever. You can be the one, right? But I'm just saying, do you think it's harder today than maybe back in 2020 during COVID when TikTok came out than it was when people started back in 2020?
Yes, I definitely think it's harder. And I remember having that exact same thought when I really started posting consistently in summer and fall of 2024. And thank
Mhm.
God I didn't listen to the people who, when I said I wanted to do it, were like, oh, good luck. That's so oversaturated already. Thank God I didn't listen, right? Because I would
Right.
still be in my corporate finance job. So yeah, I mean, like, don't expect it to be easy. Expect an uphill climb. Um, don't expect an immediate payoff. I mean, I was doing stand-up comedy and posting videos here and there for 6 years before entertainment became my full-time job, right? I mean, like
Mm.
from when I really started doing it consistently, it was a quick climb, but it wasn't an overnight success. And I would also say that like people should also consider all of the other things that they've done as a valuable skill to content creation, right? Like I worked in communications and change management. So I knew a lot about how to craft inspiring messages. So don't look at it as, "Oh, well, I've never posted online before. I don't know anything." Yes, you do. I Anything you've done in your professional life or your personal life, if you don't have a professional life, whatever, can benefit you in doing content creation and influencing. So like stop selling yourself short and telling yourself failure stories, you know? But yeah, I mean,
Right.
from what I hear anecdotally, it is harder. But I discover new people all the time where I'm like, holy shit, their shit is so funny. And then they've outgrown me in followers, right? So like
Right.
there is certainly still room for people on the internet, and there's definitely room for people putting out good stuff and not just the run of the mill, whatever they think will please the algorithm.
What do you think is the number one thing if somebody's starting out today? Is it consistency, like posting X amount of times a day? Is it again finding their true selves, obviously, and staying in that world? Is it what would you say is the one thing if Suzanne had to start today, knowing what you do now, though, but you're starting all over again? What's the number one thing you would tell somebody who has zero followers, never posted, that they must do on a consistent basis?
Mm. Yeah, what the most important thing is, I would say that where I would tell them to start is like, what's a topic that you could talk about for an hour uninterrupted? Talk
Mm.
about that. Like, I think it should be like genuinely, you should be geeked and excited to talk about the shit you're talking about. Don't just
Right.
talk about something because you have a background in it or because you know a lot about it. Like, what are you literally excited to talk about? I don't care if that's
Passionate.
analyzing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies front to back. There is an audience for everything. There
Right.
truly is. But I know you said one, but I'm gonna cheat and say two. I would say the second is like it's more of a soft skill, but determination. Like I will straight up tell people if one of your top fears posting online is hate comments, don't do it. Straight up, don't do it. It's 10 times worse than you think it is. And if me telling you don't do it, if that creates kind of like a stirring in your soul where you're like, but wait, I want to do it, then there's your answer. Stop running your mouth, pick up your phone, and do something about it, right? But either do it or don't. What is it, Yoda? Do or do not. There is no try. You gotta fucking do it. And like, I promise you that the hate comments are gonna be worse than you even think. So it's really, really important to have, I think, a strong sense of self before you decide to post yourself on the internet for the world to see. Because it's kind of a crazy thing to do if you think about it.
Yeah. Do you still read comments? Do you
Oh
do
God, yeah. Oh
do you
yeah.
really?
Oh yeah, I mean this is a trick of engagement that I tell people a lot is responding to comments. One, it builds your engagement. Two, it lets your followers know to engage in the future because there's a chance that you might engage with them. So I respond to a ton of comments. I do a lot of like responses via video to comments. It's good for the algorithm. It's good for community building. Um, but I know who I am, right? And I'll say this, just because some like people are allowed to leave you hate comments. It is such an ego response to think that you can work in entertainment and not have someone have shit about what you want to say. Like just because they leave you a hate comment, it doesn't mean they're wrong. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. Like, yeah, maybe they hated my joke. Maybe they think my hair looks stupid, whatever. They're also allowed to have those opinions. And
Well,
regardless, they're still watching.
right. So that was my point. So my point is, if somebody's going to leave something derogatory on your page, right? I used to take it like, oh my God, I used to take shit personally. If I got a review on a project or a film or what have you, right? But then I said to myself, if they're going to take the time to write something, you know, that negative or positive, I'm still enough in their head for whatever reason, for them to say, you know what, I want, you whatever, you're directing this movie, saw it, whatever it is. If you're going to take that amount of time out of your day to respond negatively, I'm still in your head.
You're a
So it's
fan.
almost still a compliment
You're a
because,
fan, dude. Like
right.
I have people like some dedicated haters who they
Mhm.
must have post notifications on for me because as soon as I post something, they'll tweet about it or they'll comment on it or whatever. And I'm like, that's fan behavior. That's what I do when I'm waiting for the Taylor Swift album to be announced. I subscribe to all the shit so I'm alerted. Like they're a fan, right? Like to
Right.
me, that makes me laugh my ass off. I'm like, "Oh, you're in love with me." And when you kind of reframe it as like, "Oh, they're obsessed with me." It changes things.
And again, like I said, there's things I watch and I dislike or I think is silly or
Yeah.
what have you. But I never say, you know what, I hate this so much or I dislike this so much. Let me comment how terrible it is. I just next, you know what I mean? So
Totally. Like
so there's something there.
yeah, and I think too, letting that be an eliminating factor from pursuing whether that's content creation or whatever it is that you want to pursue. I think about like, okay, when I have grandkids one day, right? I imagine if I just never did any of this because a hate comment turned me off from it. And I think about my grandkids talking with them, and I'm like, oh, I really wanted to be a comedian and pursue entertainment full time, but these people were leaving me comments. And then I imagine my grandkids going, oh, well, who were they and what are they doing now? Oh, I don't know. That's crazy.
Agree.
You don't know these people
Agree.
from Adam. You don't know if they wash their hands after they go to the bathroom. Why are you putting so much stock into this random ass person's opinion? Who cares? You don't know
And
them.
usually, and usually, so then it's the person who has zero picture of themselves, right?
Always. Yeah.
Always, who has like one, one like one follower and 15, whatever.
Yeah.
They're following 15 people and they have one follower and they're faceless and
Yeah.
it's usually that person. You
And
know what I
what a
mean?
measly existence. Like, I'm like, hey, at least when I've had shit I've had to say or I've hated on people or whatever, I've said it with my full chest, with my face in frame, right? I can't imagine living so small that, like, I couldn't even say the shit I want to say behind my real photo. That's crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So, um, the time has come. Today we are going to do the Screw the Clout Spitfire round.
Cool.
So, no time to think about it. It's
Okay.
the first thing that comes to your mind.
Oh boy. All right.
No, nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. Most toxic social media platform.
TikTok or Twitter. I'm not on Twitter, so you could probably say Twitter because I won't even go on
Twitter.
it.
Okay. One thing both political sides get wrong.
I think their both of their social media presences are super cringe. The AI videos need to stop. Putting songs of politicians to Daddy's Home by Usher needs to stop. I think it's very cringe on both sides.
Most addictive app.
It's got to be TikTok. TikTok diagnosed me with OCD before my psychiatrist did. That algorithm just knows you very well.
I was going to say Chat GPT now, but okay. I think everybody loves that right now, but everybody,
Yeah.
that's people don't do a thing without asking, open AI, but
Yeah,
but
that's
that's,
not me. Couldn't be me.
creator you secretly respect.
I secretly respect.
So,
Oh shit, okay. CJ Pearson, he's a right-wing influencer. We're friends. We don't agree on much, but I respect the hell out of the fact that he's in his early 20s and he hustles really hard and he's made a name for himself.
the most ridiculous internet argument you've seen.
When people got really mad at me when I made fun of a guy for eating French fries with a fork and they said I was ableist and tried to cancel me. And they tried to get me to apologize and I was like, "No, you guys are weird."
Charlie Kirk,
What about him?
first thing comes to mind.
I hate gun violence. Gun violence is bad. I'm sorry that he passed away in that way from gun violence.
Ooh, okay, very good. One thing people misunderstand about influencers.
They don't make as much money as a lot of people seem to think. Everyone seems to think influencers are super rich when in fact it's like really difficult to get paid opportunities.
How many influencers have fake lives?
Have fake lives. Any
From
of
what they,
them,
the ones that are portrayed, how they portray themselves to the way they really are.
I say anyone who's propping up a camera to show themselves like waking up in the morning and then moving the camera all around the house, that's like such a weird thing to do, in my opinion.
What's harder, becoming a viral, doing a viral video, or killing it as a on stage stand-up comedian?
Stand up is so much harder than anything I've ever done online.
That's not actually a question. I just made that up as I was
Yeah, no, I
thinking
like
about
it,
it.
but it's definitely stand up, and that's why you see a lot of influencers flop on their stand up tours.
Is social media and AI going to be an issue in the future?
Yeah, it's taking people's jobs, it's erasing people's ability to discern what's accurate information and what's not, and I think it's something that we really need to get ahead of, especially with our seniors and especially with our young people.
I'm even going further. Do you think AI will affect influencers in a certain way where it'll stop them from actually earning and because now you could just have a fake person that can, talk about, hey, Kirkland spring water is my favorite drink, and it's something that somebody's not even real. So you don't have to pay me anymore, Steve, $50,000 to put it on my story. You could just create an avatar.
I think that real people can never be replaced in the
Mhm.
workplace, and that includes online. And I know there's a ton of data and research that would disagree with me, but I honestly pay a lot of that shit zero mind. Because I've seen
Okay.
AI try to write jokes, and it's
Oh
not
yeah, I
good.
mean, right now it's still not there. It's definitely
Yeah.
not. Or write scripts. It's definitely not there yet.
Hey,
But
I'm willing to admit I'm wrong if that time comes.
no, no. Listen,
But
I hope you're right. I hope you're
yeah.
right. So before we let you go, and thank you. It's been amazing. And I mean, I could have went 50 different ways with this. Um, but I'm glad we went the way we went. So I'm glad it came out this way, and I enjoyed it because I could speak to you for another 3 hours, and we could, between comedy,
Yeah, I
I'm a
loved your
geek.
questions.
I'm a
Yeah.
geek on comedy. I'm a geek on a lot of different things, and we just touched. We sprinkled all these different things.
Yeah.
So, for the listeners that are listening, how do they find your Mean But True podcast?
Yeah, anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts is the big one, also Spotify podcasts, and it's on iHeart. My YouTube channel at it's Suzanne Lambert, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Threads. I'm also on Threads where I just kind of spout off my random thoughts throughout the day. Pretty much anywhere you can find me. Oh, also Substack. So,
Okay, awesome.
yeah.
And will you be doing anything? And then we're gonna obviously put everything out how people can find you everywhere. But will you be doing any live performances, stand-up performances? And if so,
Yes.
where?
I just announced my next show at the DC Improv. It's on April 21st, and I'm also going to be on tour, and those cities and dates are going to be announced imminently, hopefully by the time this comes out, but we'll be hitting many cities across the US. So definitely keep an eye out for that. It's meant to be fun. It's like a mix of stand-up and like, kind of sitting down, mimicking my podcast segments. It's just like a fun time. So I hope
It,
people check it out.
are you coming to New York area
Oh
or no?
yeah, we'll definitely be in New York for sure.
You got to let me know. Let me know.
No, for
Please
sure.
send me up, and also send me that because I have a pretty decent following, my extensive following myself, and I would love to put it on my stories
Oh, I
and
appreciate
put that
that.
out
And I
loud, my podcast.
record in New York, so I would love to have you on my podcast. That would be fun.
Absolutely, and we can talk about a lot of different things. Trust me.
Yeah.
Um, and how do people follow you on social media?
Yeah, at it's Suzanne Lambert, so Suzanne, on all platforms,
Amazing,
except
amazing,
Twitter,
and
because it's the most toxic one.
or you mean X.
Oh,
You know what I
oh,
mean?
my
So
bad. Of course,
come on,
X, X.
it's X,
That's
please.
totally my bad.
That's very 2022 of you.
Sure.
So one last thing before we go, and I ask this to all of our guests. If there's somebody out there that's pursuing their dreams and are getting to the point where they're just not getting anywhere and they're just ready to say, you know what, fuck it. Or screw, you know what, better yet, no pun intended, screw it. I'm done. What is your words of wisdom to those listeners?
I would want them to think about the exact scenario that I played out for them, where 20, 30, 40, however many years down the line, they're talking about this moment. Would they feel confident and proud, to tell their grandkids or whomever that they chose to walk away from this? Or does thinking about that immediately give you kind of a pit in your stomach? If it feels okay and it feels good, then do it. It sounds like you're aligned in your choice. But if you have a stirring feeling kind of in your heart, if you feel like people are telling you to quit, or if thinking about that feels heavy, that is your soul and your spirit talking to you, telling you what it wants to do, and you owe it to yourself to honor your potential. So do what you have to do in order to honor your potential and all the things within you that are waiting to be told to the world.
Basically, if you dream, dream out loud, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and put it out there.
Dream.
Tell people what you want. Tell them. People can't read your
Yeah.
mind.
See, words of wisdom. I say this, all the guests say the same thing. If you're listening and happens to be this podcast, take Suzanne's advice. I mean, she's living proof that it can happen. So, before we wrap up, I want to thank our sponsorship at Believe. I want to thank Munib, who's been finding all these amazing guests. He's working diligently. And again, we are top 10, and I appreciate it. But last we checked, we were 9, which means we could go, what, 8 more spots? So keep listening, tell your friends. This way we get more guests like Suzanne. And again, if you dream, dream out loud, and we'll see you next week. Thanks so much for listening.